So Sherab, we're here in Storm Fitness. I'm very tanned. We've just trained.
And I'm very knackered, tired.
And so we're joined by Sherab, who is the resident monk and teacher at Compassion Centre South Gosford. And we had a few questions online a little bit about how we can best live in the now and learn to relax. Now, who better to ask Sherab than yourself? You tend to be quite relaxed. Would you say that would be accurate?
I think it's okay to say yes.
So what's the secret then, Sherab? How can people live in the now, do you think?
I think it's like any training, any sport. You first have to want it, and you can only want it, like you have to have that intention, don't you? You have to be, I say, like resolute. I want that, and you will only want that if you understand why it's good for you.
Yeah.
So I guess the secret is to really think carefully about why is it good for you to be in the now, and then to give yourself no discounts, to just go for it, to do everything that is necessary to do it.
So what do you feel are the problems faced with people not understanding the benefit of living in the now? So I suppose the reverse of living in the now is living in the past, or living, anticipating the future and thinking about that too much.
Yeah.
Why do you think people do that?
I think people just don't know that they don't have to do that. I think people think maybe they have to think about the future to prepare themselves, or if something bad will happen, so to protect themselves, or to be prepared in one way or another, so they think about the future. But I think what they don't know is that they only think about one version of the future, and they only think about one version of the future that they imagine. So, they get involved with that future, whereas it's not the future. It's just one possibility that they imagine, but because they are not aware of that they are doing it, they get lost in it, So I think it's just lack of understanding of what they do to themselves. And I think there's also obviously the other alternative is the staying in the past. And that's another, it's pretty much the same, we pick up on things that happened to us in the past, she said this, he did that, he did this, whatever. And we feel like some self-righteousness about wallowing or staying in it, and so either when we're in the past like this, or when we're in the future like that, we're actually in our own imagination, and we're missing out, enjoying, because now, generally speaking, you're doing okay. So
Yeah.
it's like that famous Bruce Lee, finger pointing at the moon, missing out on all this heavenly glory, So I had a friend who used to quote this, and I never understood it until a few years back when I realized we constantly are either in the past or in the future, and we miss out on just having fun.
Yeah. So one thing I would pick up on from what you said, Sherab, was people are imagining their future and imagining one version of their future. Is there anything people can do to create a version of themselves in the future that is not going to behave in a way that is always looking into the future?
That's interesting. Yeah. It's very interesting, because I guess this is one actually helpful exercise to do, is to imagine yourself in the future, not thinking about the future and not thinking about the past.
This is imagining yourself in the imagined future.
But this is a good imagination. So basically, many people already begin to understand that everything is created by the mind. Mind is the creator of everything. And how does everything begins? Everything begins in the imagination. This is a basic Buddhist understanding, and now many people understand it anyway. So, generally speaking, when you are just going about through your life, it's best to try and not be too much in the past and not too much in the future. But guess sometimes it's important. So this is it. This is important, isn't it? Sometimes it is important that you sit in a quiet. You take yourself some quiet time, and you think, how do I want to be? Yeah? And then you imagine yourself a person who, for example, is staying in the present moment.